The price of wishes. Gabby's 18th birthday was supposed to be the start of a bright future. She'd been waiting for this milestone her entire life, envisioning freedom, endless opportunities, and the world finally opening up to her. Her birthday party was small but cheerful, held in the backyard of her family's modest home. Balloons and streamers swayed gently in the breeze, and the laughter of her closest friends filled the air. As the candles on her cake flickered, her family and friends gathered around, singing the traditional birthday song. Gabby leaned over the cake, her heart swelling with gratitude and excitement. "Make a wish," someone called. Gabby closed her eyes and took a deep breath. For as long as she could remember, she'd been fascinated by the idea of magic, wishes, genies, and fairy tales. So, as the flames danced before her, she whispered a wish. "I wish I had unlimited wishes." The crowd cheered as she blew out the candles, her wish sealed in the smoky tendrils that rose into the sky. Little did Gabby know, her wish had been heard. The first strange event happened that night. Gabby was lying in bed, staring at her ceiling, still riding the high from her birthday. The room was quiet except for the soft ticking of the clock. Suddenly, a cold gust of wind swept through the room, even though her windows were closed. She sat up, her heart racing. In the corner of her room, a figure emerged from the shadows. He was tall and lean, his skin a pale gray that shimmered like smoke. His eyes glowed a faint gold, and a sly smile played on his lips. "Gabriella," the figure said, his voice smooth and otherworldly. "You've been granted your wish." Gabby froze. Who are you?" "I am Azir, a genie bound to fulfill your deepest desires," he said with a bow. "You wished for unlimited wishes, and I am here to make that possible." Gabby's fear melted into disbelief, then excitement. "Wait, you're serious? Like a real genie?" "Quite real," Azir said with a grin. "You may wish for anything your heart desires." Gabby was skeptical, but curiosity got the better of her. "Okay," she said, testing him. "I wish for a diamond necklace." Azir snapped his fingers and a sparkling diamond necklace appeared in her lap. Gabby gasped, running her fingers over the jewels. It was flawless, more beautiful than anything she'd ever seen. Her mind raced with possibilities. This was real. She could wish for anything: money, power, happiness. Azir watched her with amusement, his golden eyes gleaming as he waited for her next wish. Over the next few days, Gabby tested the limits of her newfound power. She wished for designer clothes, piles of cash, and a dream car. Each time, Azir delivered, his sly grin never fading. She was ecstatic, but as the days passed, strange things began to happen. Her best friend, Mia, stopped showing up to their usual hangouts. Gabby called and texted, but there was no response. Then she found out that Mia had gone missing, her parents frantic with worry. Gabby felt a pang of guilt but brushed it off. People went missing all the time. It wasn't her fault. The next day, Gabby wished for her crush, Ethan, to fall in love with her. Azir granted it with ease, and Ethan started texting her almost immediately, asking her out. But that same evening, Gabby saw a news report. Ethan's younger brother had been in a fatal car accident. Gabby's stomach churned. She tried to convince herself it was just a coincidence, but the pattern was hard to ignore. Every time she made a wish, someone in her life suffered. The truth hit her like a punch to the gut when she wished for her mother's chronic back pain to disappear. Her mother woke up the next morning pain-free, smiling and laughing for the first time in years. Gabby was overjoyed until she learned that her elderly neighbor, Mrs. Carter, had passed away in her sleep that same night. Gabby confronted Azir, her voice trembling. "Are my wishes hurting people?" Azir's grin widened, revealing sharp teeth. "Every gift has its price," he said. "You wished for unlimited wishes, but the balance must be maintained. For every desire fulfilled, a life is taken. That is the nature of the bargain. Gabby's blood ran cold. You never told me that. You never asked, Azir said with a shrug. Gabby's heart pounded as she realized the gravity of her situation. Every wish she made was paid for with someone else's life. She couldn't live with the guilt, but Azir was bound to her. The only way to stop the curse was to get rid of him. But how? Gabby spent days researching genies, poring over myths and legends. Most stories agreed on one thing. Genies were cunning, and defeating them required wit. She learned that genies couldn't harm their masters directly, but if they suspected betrayal, they would twist wishes in cruel and unimaginable ways. Gabby needed a plan, and she had to act without letting Azir know she was onto him. She started small, wishing for trivial things, a new book, a box of chocolates. Azir granted them without hesitation, though his grin grew tighter as if he sensed her hesitation. One night, Gabby made her move. She wished for a beautiful antique lamp to decorate her room. Azir snapped his fingers and the lamp appeared. A fine choice, he said, eyeing her curiously. Gabby feigned excitement. It's perfect. Thank you, Azir. You've been so helpful. She spent the next few days pretending to adore the lamp, polishing it, admiring its intricate designs. She even joked about how it looked like the kind of lamp a genie might live in. Azir chuckled, but his eyes narrowed. When the moment was right, Gabby made her final wish. I wish for you to be free, she said, her voice steady. Azir froze, his grin faltering for the first time. Free? He repeated, his voice low. Yes, Gabby said. You've done so much for me. I want you to have your freedom. Azir's golden eyes burned with suspicion, but he couldn't refuse. He raised his hands, and the room filled with a swirling, smoky light. Gabby held her breath as the magic swirled around him. But she wasn't freeing him. She'd spent days enchanting the lamp with the help of old spells she'd found online. As Azir's form began to dissolve, he realized too late what she had done. You tricked me, he roared, his voice echoing as his body was pulled into the lamp. Gabby held the lamp tightly, her heart racing. You should have told me the rules, she whispered, her voice trembling. The light faded and the room fell silent. Gabby stared at the lamp, now cold and lifeless in her hands. She buried it deep in the woods that night, vowing never to speak of it again.
But sometimes, late at night, she swore she could hear Azir's voice in the wind, whispering promises of endless wishes and unimaginable power. And though she tried to forget, she always felt his golden eyes watching her from the shadows.